and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Joe Biden wrote an article. I'm not joking with you. This actually happened for the Washington Post. Democracy dies in darkness. Now, there's a lot to unpack with this story. It's a typical neoliberal op-ed piece, and everyone's entitled to an opinion, including the President of the United States. However, I have some reservations in regards to how this article was written and whether Joe Biden decided to write it himself. We shall see. So let's go ahead and pull it up here and share it with all you lovely people. Opinion: Joe Biden. The U.S. won't back down from the challenge of Putin and Hamas. By Joe Biden, November 18th, 2023. And I like how there's like an image of a peace dove and the missiles all there. Now, maybe the peace dove is making a nest in the missiles. Who knows? But show of hands, just before I get started with the article. Type 1 for Kit, you're being rude. Joe Biden wrote this article by himself to share his thoughts on how we could be strong together as a country. Have you no shame, sir? Type 2, Kit. We know he didn't write this. One of his staffers wrote it, okay? One of his handlers wrote this. And then they handed it to the Washington Post. And the Washington Post, being like the teacher getting a bribe from a student, said, all right, here you go. Yes. I've heard stories about people being bribed for tests. It happens. It happens. It happens. Today, the world faces an inflection point where the choices we make, including in the crisis in Europe and the Middle East, will determine the direction of our future for generations to come. What will our world look like on the other side of these conflicts? Will we deny Hamas the ability to carry out pure, unadulterated evil? All right, look, yes. No one wants to see anybody die, but Jesus Christ, the bombings in Gaza are getting to 13,000. What's it going to get? 15,000, Joe? 20,000? 30,000? All these bombings are going to do, Joe, is going to lead to future Hamas fighters. That's all it's going to do. It's going to lead to people wanting more revenge. But all right. Will the Israelis and Palestinians one day live side by side in peace with two states for two peoples? He didn't write this. Will we hold Vladimir Putin accountable for his aggression so the people of Ukraine can live free and Europe remains an anchor for global peace and security? Show of hands. Do you really think Biden wrote this article? My God. And it goes on like this. And the overarching question, will we relentlessly pursue our positive vision for the future, or will we allow those who do not share our values to drag the world to a more dangerous, divided place? Jesus. Well, Biden, look, I hate to break it to you, but we're already a heavily divided world. And I think more Americans are concerned about the fact that we're giving billions upon billions upon billions upon billions upon billions, once again, upon billions of aid to Israel and Ukraine. Yet nothing for the American people. In my Cardi B video that I clipped, that's available on the Harlan's Media YouTube page, you know, we played a video of Janet Yellen saying, yeah, hey, look, not only are we giving money for Ukraine to fight in the battlefront, but we're also helping keeping their schools open too. What about our schools? In the city of Chicago, 54 Chicago public schools are closed right now. Across the nation, teachers are struggling, ensuring they have enough supplies for their students. What about student debt forgiveness and so much more? Medicare for all. Anyways, continue on. Both Putin and Hamas are fighting to wipe a neighboring democracy off the map. I actually had this. I'm sorry that I read this article, and sometimes the sentences in here, it's like a gut check, you know, because in the world's most one-sided fist fight, Gaza is an open air prison and it's being bombed continuously. Last I checked, Israel has been on the ongoing march for continued artillery strikes, bombing, sniper shots, and so much more. As for the war in Ukraine, it's reached a stalemate. And I'll be covering this in another segment that I'll be talking about on the show, and how U.S. officials are saying that there's no silver bullet or magic wand that can help turn the tide in the war in Ukraine. Both Putin and Hamas hope to collapse broader regional stability and integration and take advantage of the ensuing disorder. America cannot and will not let that happen for our own national security interests and for the good of the entire world. The United States is the essential nation. We rally allies and partners to stand up to aggressors and make progress toward a brighter, more peaceful future. There are so many Americans concerned that we might be getting into the sequel that we all been dreading, World War III. I'm seeing the memes and the TikToks and the videos all about it. Everyone's saying the same thing. I don't want World War III to happen. The world looks to us to solve problems of our time. That is the duty of leadership, and America will lead. Biden, you didn't write this article. So it goes on like this, where he's talking about how we need to have, how we need to get involved. He goes on to say, we're keeping American troops out of this war by supporting the brave Ukrainians defending their freedom and homeland. I need to pull up here something here real quick, because there's a video going out there of soldiers in Ukraine. They're there just they're just sitting. And there's a woman there just singing before them. I think I could pull up on the Jimmy Dore show, but they're all just there singing. I can't seem to find it right now, but I'll be sure to find it maybe for another day. But they all look old and tired and not interested. You know, there's been reports about how they can't gain any further ground. He goes on to further write, the United States is not doing this alone. More than 50 nations have joined us to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs to defend itself. And yet, Zelensky went on air just a few weeks ago saying, hey, give us more money. Give us money. Give us credit, and we'll pay you back after the war. Sounding like a guy from a gas station. Come on, dude. You know I'm good for it. I'll pay you back your $25. I promise, man. Just give me till next week, and you'll get your $25. Continuing on, he writes to say, we firmly stand with the Israeli people as they defend themselves against the murderous nihilism of Hamas. He didn't write this. On October 7th, Hamas slaughtered 1,200 people, including 35 American citizens. No one deserves to die. But Biden, in this paragraph, you know what you're missing is the fact that more than 11,000 people have died. But he writes it here. The Palestinian people deserve a state of their own and a future free from Hamas. I, too, am heartbroken by the images out of Gaza. Oh, he's heartbroken. Hey, type 3 if you think Biden's heartbroken. Type 4 if you think, whoa, Biden realizes he still has a heartbeat. And the deaths of thousands of civilians, including children. Palestinian children are crying for lost parents, which you could stop, Biden. Parents are writing their children's name on their leg or hand so they can be identified if the worst happens. Call for a ceasefire, Biden. Palestinian nurses and doctors are trying desperately to save every precious life they possibly can with little to no resources. Call for a ceasefire, Biden. Go ahead. Every innocent Palestinian life lost is a tragedy that rips apart families and communities. Oh, isn't that special? He wrote that in there. Call for a ceasefire then. You're the president of the United States. That kind of means something. Theoretically, it should. Theoretically, it should. Our goal should not be simply to stop the war for today. It should be to end the war forever, break the cycle of unceasing violence, and build something stronger in Gaza and across the Middle East so that history does not keep repeating itself. How are you going to pull that off? Seriously, how in God's name are you going to pull that off? 75 plus years doing that? Repeating the same cycle over and over again? Just weeks before October 7th, I met in New York with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The main subject of that conversation was a set of substantial commitments that would help both Israel and Palestinian territories better integrate into a broader Middle East. That is also the idea behind the innovative economic corridor that will connect India to Europe through the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel, which I announced together with partners at a Group of 20 summit in India in early September. Stronger integration between countries creates predictable markets and draws greater investment, even though we are heading towards an economic disaster. He goes on to write about, this much is clear, a two-state solution is the only way to ensure the long-term security of both the Israeli and Palestinian people. Through right now, it may seem like the future has never been further away. This crisis has made it more imperative than ever. And of course, hey, Hamas is getting all the blame. I wonder if Joe Biden will ever let Bassem Youssef perform at the White House so that Bassem can say, hey, you know, Netanyahu, he supported Hamas. Oh, yeah, look into it. Talk about the two-state solution, how they're striving for peace, how they want to build a better future. Isn't that great? How he traveled to Israel. He's yet to travel to East Palestine, Ohio. And so much more. It's all one big war piece. Of course, hey, Washington Post wrote this about guest opinion submissions. The Washington Post accepts opinion articles on any topic. We welcome submissions on local, national, international issues. We publish work that varies in length and format, including multimedia. Submit a guest opinion or read our guide to write an opinion article. Dear Washington Post, why you suck. So yes, this is all about, hey, we need to support the two wars that are happening, but we need to make sure we have a better peace, a better future. So that happened on November 18th. An article written by Joe Biden. I didn't know he had it in him. Do you think he wrote that article? Or you think some State Department head wrote that? Somebody in the administration wrote that? You know what? I'm going to have a list of, I'm going to actually clip this segment, and I'm going to ask this in the YouTube community page for a polling question on who do you think really wrote that article? Who do you really think? All right. I'll have a whole list of names, and you could partake in trying to guess who was the writer. It'll be fun. Until then, folks, I never read a crappier opinion in my whole life. Don't worry, there's probably going to be more crappier opinions, but I didn't see that, and I'm rather ashamed that it almost flew under my radar until I got a message from one of you beautiful people who are subscribers to Hard Lens Media who told us, hey, did you know that Joe Biden wrote an article? I didn't believe it, and yet here we are.